Alright, William Jummy here, welcome to my channel. So you're watching a series of video about Godot development, and in this video I'm going to show you how to control the window and the viewport and some concepts. Okay, let's get to it. So previously we made something like this. Okay, so let me quickly show you if you're new here. So let's quickly play this game. Right, all this reached the bottom and disappeared. Okay, but here comes to the tricky part. So if you rerun this again and you change the window before it reach, okay, it will not disappear. Okay, if you reach here and it will disappear here. So what's going on here? That's because it's disappeared. It's sort of like a calculating things. If you look at the code here, it's sort of like constantly calculate and get the viewport right. So the viewport actually is the window that you are setting. You're playing on your Mac. So you're constantly changing the window, and that way we constantly change the viewport as well. So what are we going to do about it? Okay, you can pause the video here and try to solve it yourself. And I will pause 3, 2, 1. Okay, did you get it? If you did not get it, let me try some of the ways of solving this problem. Of course, there are like hundreds of thousands. This is not hundreds of thousands. There's like 4 or 5 ways of doing this. I'm not going to overcomplicate things because it's an intro series, but I want to just quickly give you the solution and explain it to you. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. Even though you have no previous background, if you don't have previous background, you can still understand it. So first, I'm going to change the position. I'm going to use an example of how to restrict the position of user. Okay, so and I think this will give you some of the like inspirations. So remember, we also got a bug is that when you move, you can move outside of this specific viewport. Okay, so I'm going to restrict this player and use this as an example, and after this I'm going to give you a few seconds and to see whether you can solve this problem yourself. It's really important. You can't skip this. Okay, I have to stress this. Okay, this is really important. Do not fall into the tutorial hell. That's because if you like follow along with tutorial, you do not do it yourself, or you just follow whatever solution I provide in tutorial, you will not improve. You have to think and solve the problem by yourself. In that way, you're actively thinking. It's really important. I want to stress this. Okay, so let's continue. So basically what I'm going to do is to restrict the player, and it's a common practice to have a certain margin here. So for example, the screen is this wide. I want some padding, some buffer zone of the screen. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to export. I'm going to have a var because I'm going to test this. If I want to test it, I want to test it in the IDE rather than in the source code. So it's just a common practice, or just my personal preference. Float, and I'm going to say the float will be the margin, maybe, I don't know, 20. Okay, this is just buffer, and as you can see, as soon as I finish typing this and we got this margin of 20, why I export here? Because I want to quickly test these things. Okay, it's not necessarily 20, but I just want to quickly test it, so I want to change it while the game is playing. Okay, and when the game like started, I want you to on ready. So what do I mean by on ready? So let me tell you this way. So for example, the Godot initialize things following certain order. Okay, so for example, if you go back to the code, you can see if Godot initialize as a player as a tree, okay, and when they initialize, they got the trees, they got the players, and then sprite 2D and collision shape 2D. So they got like the script before the scene tree is ready. It's not loaded, but this is risky. It's risky. I don't want the variable is not initialized, and it's not initialized after before the tree initialized. I want it to be all the time accessible. So what I'm going to do is to unready that variable just to be sure. Okay, it's a safe practice. Just you can sort of treat this as prepare this before anything else. Okay, initialize it. You need that thing to be ready because we're going to use that variable later. Okay, so it's just a quick way of doing things, and a safe way of doing things, if you will. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to unready here, unready. Okay, an unready var, and we got sprite 2D. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to put that sprite 2D inside sprite or whatever variable that you think is the specific scenario. Sprite equals to, I'm going to quickly get node. This is equal to get node. Get node. But there's a quick way of doing things, which is just use the dollar sign. Okay, you can get the you can get, I think I can get okay, get nodes, and then you pass in the node path. Okay, so it's a sprite 2D. Yeah, you can use this method. Of course, okay, I'm going to duplicate this just to make a point. I'm going to command and slash comment out. And of course, you can use the quicker way of doing things is to use a dollar sign. Okay, and you do that specifically. You just choose the sprite 2D so you can get the hold of sprite 2D. Why do I need to get hold of sprite 2D? Because I'm going to calculate the margin when you hit this margin. I'm going to get this specific sprite width, and I'm going to calculate that. Okay, so it's a precise way, especially if you've got pretty strict about the margin. You can do that. Okay, we're talking about the margin and the specific players, like the sprite, when they connect to the margin or not. Okay, so yeah, just bear with me. It's a complex solution, but the basic logic is pretty simple. Okay, of course, if it's if it involves collision, you can get unready, and you can get a var of collision. Okay, you can also get hold of a collision shape 2D. Okay, same method. You can get node, or you can use a quick way. I prefer the quick way, to be honest. So collision shape 2D. So you get two things: sprite and the collision, and you sort of put it inside the variable and make it ready, even before the tree initialize. You can get this two var here. Okay, and once get ready, and you can sort of check whether it exists or not. Okay, so verify the node that actually exists. So if our not sprite and or so not and it should be or, okay, or not collision. So if any of this exists, then there's an error. Okay, and if it didn't exist, that's error. So you can push that error and say, well, child node is missing. Okay, so you can't find the sprite 2D or collision 2D. It's missing, so you can't follow this calculation. Okay, really simple one. And then you can safely return. The check is over. Okay, once you pass is ready, because this is called when the node enters the scene tree for the first time. So that means it's checking everything. and make sure the child thing is ready. And why do I make it on ready? That's because you just enter that, okay? You enter the node tree, and this, if it's not safely initialized before everything, you won't be able to check sometimes. So just to be sure, okay? Then all this process, we can keep it on change. But remember, we previously learned something about the viewport rack, okay? We can use get viewport rack to get this whole viewport position. And right now, I'm going to use the same method again. So I'm going to do this var, and we can get the viewport rack will be equals to using the get viewport. Okay, so get viewport rack. So I can get this viewport rack here. Okay, and then we can calculate the sprite size. So var and sprite size will equal to, remember we got the sprite here. So sprite 2D. We got sprite, and we can got the texture. Remember, if you click here, you see we got the texture. Okay, the texture is a cat. Okay, so you can actually use this to get the texture size. So here, so texture dot get our texture size, and once you got the size, you can multiply the scale. So you can also access the scale, because the scale is 0.1. So if you're scaling up or down, you do not want to use that calculation, but you want to use the actual scale to actually get sprite size. Okay, so I think that makes sense. I know if you have never programmed before, this video may be a huge jump from my previous video, but I just want to show you that even though some code may be pretty complex, as long as you push forward, push through, and using basic logic, it's not even calculus, it's just simple mathematics. You can still do that, and you can do that with ease. Okay, so then I'm going to add a position. Okay, so new position will be our position. Okay, and then everything else, this is about movement. Okay, control and movement, you do not need to change that. Then we can actually calculate the viewport with margin and clamp it like a bounded. Okay, so the position, okay, the order position, if it's present, then you get a position, we got all that. Okay, but I'm going to use this new position here. So what I'm going to do is to select this and Command D to select 1, 2, 3, 4. A Command and V to replace this with new position. Okay, and then I'm going to calculate this new position. So new position dot X, I have to clamp it. So clamp means restrict that, and of course we're going to get the X and margin and the sprite size. So you got three things you have to consider. So clamp and value variant, minimum variant, and maximum variant. Okay, so we're going to put that. So new position, so basically you're moving that. Okay, constantly moving position. And what I'm going to do is to get the new positions X, because it's new position X, get new position X, and then have to have the minimum variant. That'll be our margin here. Okay, and this, of course, you can just use margin, but I also remember I calculate the sprite size. Half a sprite size, so that means that you wanted to half of it to be added to the margin. So it's margin this, and half of the sprite will be adding here. So that will be the padding. Okay, it becomes pretty hard for me to just describe that using science. I will play that in the actual game so you guys know what's going on. Okay, so sprite dot size dot position. excuse me, sprite size, I believe. Okay, and I can get the X position and divide it by 2. Okay, and so that will be the like the minimum position. So new position X, and we've got margin and plus size X divided by 2. Okay, I think I can make it more compacted. Okay, and of course, remember I got the max variant. We got this viewport, reg, and we can get the size, we can get the X, okay, and subtract the margin, and subtract the sprite size dot X divided by 2. Okay, hope that clarifies things, and why is still need a little bit. Okay, so position, we'll make that a new position, move it, clamp it, and then position will be our new position. Okay, so we are sort of updating the position, and we are just controlling the X. So let's quickly test this. Okay, so finger crossed, it will work the first time. Okay, so I can move to right, and I'm stuck here even though I'm still pressing, and I can move to left, still sucking. Okay, so I'm gonna test if I change my viewport a tiny little bit. Okay, right, I can still move all the way to the right. Okay, so that means, okay, I think this will give you a understanding of what's the get reg. Okay, remember get reg. Get reg means that we got the viewport reg, and the viewport can be changed according to the window. Right now, you're like, okay, let me drag the window. This is a whole window. Okay, the window will be exactly the same right now with the viewport. Okay, so viewport means, for example, if you're like, this is a game, okay, there will be your viewport. Okay, and if your restriction is connected with the viewport, as soon as user change the window, the viewport got changed. So the logic still works, is that it's not working as intended, and of course the up and down is not clamped. Okay, and I think it's kind of okay, but you can also modify the margin here. Remember, I export it. Okay, export it to here. That's because I want to change it. So for example, I want to change it to say 10, and I believe it's can already got 10. Okay, let me rerun this. Of course, you can do that live, but I changed the viewport, so sorry about that. So yeah, this is more like it. Okay, so I of course can take the margin to 0. Okay, and you can get the the edges. Yeah, as soon as you reach the edges, you got stopped. But up and down, okay, still works. So it's kind of work. Okay, so I'm gonna refresh it back, and I'm gonna use the same method to clamp it the y-axis. Copy and okay, really simple. I just need to get hold of this y-axis, clamp new position y. Okay, margin plus the margin. Okay, and then reg, yeah, it's not x but rather it's y. Okay, and then y, subtract margin. Yeah, that should do. So up and down still got updated. So let's test it again. So I can't go down, can't go above, so I can restrict it. Yeah, pretty good. So for example, if you want like a restricted movement of going up, you can clamp and modify the position here. So for example, you have a new position, okay, and sprite, and you can have more margins, okay. You can have like a more margin to the top, okay. You press everything down, so you can't move to a certain height, okay. I leave that to you, okay. It's really simple. You just need to add more margins or more or you could divide the whole thing to half, okay. So you can just move bottom half of the screen, okay. So I hope that's like clarify things. A quick review here. So what do we learn in this video? So first, we'll learn onReady. So onReady means that you want to check something, you want to get hold of some variable before the trigger initialize. So I using onReady, and I can check whether the child node is ready or not. It's a safe practice. Okay, I just want to show you. You can do this way. Of course, you can ignore that. I don't think you will have a lot of problem. But if you got a pretty complex project, it's good practice onReady. And then here we use clamp. Why we use clamp? Because we calculate the viewport rec as well as the sprite size. We get hold of sprite size, and by using the texture, get size. And of course, don't forget about scale. It's really easy for you to forget about scale, because normally you wouldn't just get one, okay. Normally you would just scale it up or down depending on the resources, okay, and specific game design. So don't forget, and then calculate all that, and then update. So you sort of like position, you use new position here, and then update all the new position, and then using position, okay, put it back. So yeah, pretty good stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So I hope this will also give you some of the inspirations of how to handle the viewport, the window, and some restriction padding problems. So in next video, we're going to finally solve the window problem, because if you change the window, you change the viewport, the whole logic will change to how to restrict that. Okay, see you next video. Bye. Don't forget to give me a thumb up, subscribe to my channel. Okay, thanks, bye.